Like I'm over still at my warehouse job. I pack boxes every morning,
yeah.
and I'm like, I'm not a bajillionaire off of music. I mean, Spotify, you guys pay 0.3 cents a stream. I mean,
Sheesh.
it's crazy.
I haven't made a dime from the show,
Yeah.
but it's my passion. And
Right.
I love doing this because
Yeah.
I love having conversations. Hospitality is one of my favorite things. That's why I love having people over on the show. It's because I
Yeah.
get to be hospitable. I get to welcome you into the
For
show
sure.
and just, dude, I love everything about this show. And so I think that has been the difference for me is like choosing something that I want versus choosing something that God obviously has for me.
Exactly.
There's a fire behind
Yeah.
that when you know that God has it for you.
There was like a little turning point in my life recently where I had really, really seen that clearly, like the foundation, like how easy it can crumble without Jesus. So hopefully, if I do reach some sort of level that's like berserk, like crazy,
Mm-hmm.
I know that like the Lord will prepare me for that because that's what I'm asking for.
The hustle don't stop,
The hustle don't,
Grind
the hustle
don't
never
stop.
stops.
which you know all too well with your music and everything.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
hustle.
You know, I've had some of my boys from youth group have been waiting for this episode for a long time.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
They keep asking me.
Wait, who do you have in there?
Noah, Cooper,
Oh, I know Noah.
Noah mostly has been,
Noah's a chiller.
dude. He's gonna be stoked that he's getting a shout out right now on the show.
Shout out Noah. My guy.
Let's go.
My guy.
Hi Noah. It's finally happening. Yes, finally having Jack on. Well, everybody, welcome back to the Center Podcast. This week we're having Jack Hartman on. Dude, Jack,
Here we go.
you're the man.
Here
Thanks
we
for coming
go.
on the show. I've been looking forward to this episode for a long
Yeah.
time. This has been a long time coming.
For sure.
And
For sure.
you have such a powerful testimony. And I've gotten to know you through City Students. And
Yes.
it's been a real blessing and a real honor getting to meet you and know you.
Appreciate you. Same goes for you.
Dude, you're the man. Well, first off, how's your day going?
Going good. Went to work. Vibed.
Come on.
Got home. Just worked on some music and some school.
How's the music going?
Really good. Just finished up my first studio album.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, don't know when it drops yet.
Shout out on the Center Podcast, Jack Hartman's new album.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes, new album on the way.
Wow.
Currently mixing. We'll be playing some of the songs live soon.
That's crazy.
So here we go.
Dude, congratulations. That's exciting.
Yeah.
It's a
Thank you, bro.
milestone. Well, for everyone listening and watching, welcome back to another episode. I'm super stoked to have you guys here. Today we're talking about Jack's testimony, his faith, and his music. Things that Jack is very well known for. I feel like you're very open with your testimony, and you're very well known through your music. You're very confident in your ability to play in front of people and
Right.
to get on social media and just go crazy. You've got like 40K on Instagram
Yeah.
now. And so
It's
you're
crazy.
moving, dude.
Yeah.
God's blessing it, and I love to see it. So, first and foremost, Jack, dude, I just want to get right into it. So, your testimony. And the first thing that I think of is what you've said has inspired you in your music,
Yeah.
and that's your dad.
Yes, for sure.
And I just want to hear about that, dude.
Well, I guess to sum it up the best I can, like, you want the whole story?
Sure, bro.
The whole
Whatever-
shebang?
Whatever you want to share.
The
I'm
whole
open to it.
entire thing in a nutshell?
Yeah.
So when I was about 10 years old, my dad got diagnosed with cancer, and it was like some form like in his stomach. And I was real young. I was playing like Fortnite. I was all like, I was just doing my own thing, and that like kind of came out of nowhere after my cousin had recently beat cancer, which was a huge win. But then like 2 weeks later, my dad got diagnosed after my cousin had beat cancer.
Dang.
So it was like a complete turnaround for our family, and we were like, oh, it's happening again. But I feel like we were all kind of prepared. We were all kind of, okay, we got this. And as time kind of went on, it was like it kind of progressively got a little worse. And like I said, I wasn't paying attention too much to it because I was so young. And so it was August 2017 when he got diagnosed, and then August 2018 is when he passed away. And that was definitely pretty heavy. Probably like the hardest part was definitely with my my mom, seeing her go through it.
Mm-hmm.
But she's strong and she's holding up great now. But that was definitely like the hardest part, seeing my family, and it was just this whole thing. And previously after that, I had started taking guitar lessons about a year later in August, like literally in August, like a exact year later.
Wow.
I started taking guitar lessons because there's this little like, I was at my cousin's house and there was like this little guitar and I was like, I'm gonna try that out because like growing up, my dad was always into that and he just like loved playing guitar. If I have like a little voice memo of him like saying like, I love guitar, got me through high school and all this stuff. And I was
Really?
like, yeah, it's
I
like,
didn't
it
know
sounds
that.
just like me.
Dang.
So, but after playing guitar for a little bit, I ended up going to see his favorite artist, Peter Frampton.
Mhm.
And there's a whole bunch of lore behind Peter Frampton.
What kind of lore?
Well, to go into that, yeah, I'm like sidetracking a lot. This is like a long story, but I'm trying to sum it up. But my dad had this best friend growing up, or not growing up. I guess he kind of met him later on. But his name was Rob, and he had they went to the Ryman to see Peter Frampton,
Mm-hmm.
and while at Peter Frampton, like that concert, I think I was about 8 at the time. He ended up telling Rob, he was like, we should take Jack to one of these shows, see if he gets into music or anything. And at the time, I was like really into baseball, I was really into sports, and that was kind of my thing. I was like, be an MLB player. I'm like, love sports like any kid.
You got this.
At 8 years old,
I'm
you
going
know.
all the way.
But shoot, where was I? Like he told him, he was like, let's take Jack to a Peter Frampton concert, and then ended up after he passed away, I ended up going to a Peter Frampton concert with Rob
Dang.
and met Peter Frampton because like he had some sort of like backstage pass, and Rob's a goat. Rob's a surgeon.
I got like the biggest thing in my throat.
You're good.
Keep going. What are you saying?
Rob is a goat. He's a heart surgeon. And I'm gonna send this podcast to him because
Dude, I can't wait for him to listen to it.
he's a legend. But yeah, ended up going to see Peter Frampton with Rob. Met Peter Frampton, whole thing, and then shortly after that, I had this crazy head injury, like complete accident, like at school.
What
Like,
happened?
like, so this is going in like a million different directions, but I made myself pass out in school. This is not one of my smartest, brightest moments. This was a dumb thing.
Dumb Jack move.
Dumb Jack move. But yeah, I hit my head, then I had to have emergency surgery,
Dang.
and if anything, it made me smarter.
Hmm.
After that, I was like, shoot, I need to get it together.
This was like a life or death head injury.
Oh, yeah, I was like 30 minutes away or something from dying.
Whoa.
I had to get like the emergency surgery.
Yikes.
Got like a huge little like scar. Can't really see it, but it's there.
That beautiful hair hides it pretty well.
Yeah, yeah, the beautiful hair hides it.
Dang, man.
But yeah, that also, like with my testimony, was like the first step, the first like big wake up call for me was, just like realizing how fragile life is, and I was like, okay, I need to, kind of get it together. I was influenced by a bunch of bad things, especially in a way I was coping with my dad's loss through just some things like addiction, and it was a rough patch, and that was around 7th grade. But to circle back to the whole Peter Frampton thing, like a month after that had happened, I was going to get my stitches checked with Rob,
Yeah.
And I walk into this like 1-floor house up in Nashville, and it just looks like a little like normal house.
Mhm.
And there's like records on the wall, and there's like posters of Peter Frampton, and then I turn the corner and there he is. There's Peter Frampton, like,
Dang.
and his crew just like chilling in there, and he's like, "Hey, Jack," and I like felt like I was his homie. But
You probably were.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Shout out to Rob for making that happen.
dude, Rob is a legend, and I
Wow.
still to this day don't really know how he got that connection, but he did.
It sounds like something orchestrated from God, honestly.
Oh, for sure. Like, there's not a day that goes by where I'm like, my dad isn't like, poking you like, you do this? Because, I mean, Peter Frampton was his, like, favorite artist. Like, he loved that guy. And as I got more into music, I realized I was like, dang, this guy's, like, great.
Yeah.
And so after meeting Peter, it was up in his studio. I had just gotten really, really into guitar. Like, it was, like, maybe that was my, like, a new addiction was, like, playing guitar. I was just, like, constantly ripping. And
Yeah, there's worse addictions.
yeah. I can't really play fast, but I can play chords, and I feel like that's just been my thing. Like, rhythm is, like, I love playing rhythm guitar, especially at church, too. Like, I love doing that.
Dude, seeing you at summer camp playing in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And, like, just seeing you play in front of Highbrow that one time during 4th of July or 3rd of July.
Yeah, that was great.
Dude, that was awesome. Yeah.
I love playing live. It's, like, it's awesome. But, yeah, I mean, shortly after that, in 2022, like late 2022, 2023, I started writing songs, and I wrote Song St. Augustine in January of 2023, and then ended up releasing it in July.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, let me put out a song.
Yeah.
And then I saw everyone on like TikTok promoting, and this is not what I do now, but when I first started, I was like promoting promo videos, all this stuff, and then one of them did really well, and got me to the whole 40,000 thing, and it was just like, it was a lot. I probably wasn't prepared for any of that.
Yeah.
But I feel like God showed me a whole lot through that, and a whole lot of what, like, influence looks like in such a small level. I mean, like, 40K is a lot. Like, it's a huge number, but, like, it gets so much bigger.
True.
And for so many other people, it's like, that could be a small number or a huge number.
Right.
And honestly, I don't even know what to think of it right now. I'm just like, I try not to think of numbers. I just try to do instead of think of it, because I get all caught up. But yeah.
Dude, I mean, God's taught you so much. And how old are you now?
17.
So God's taught you a lot by the age of 17.
Yes, he has taken me through quite a roller coaster of life. I do think that a lot. I'm like, I'm 17. I need to slow down, because I always like try and rush to have everything quickly, and I think that's just kind of like a natural side effect. And a lot of people that are grieving, it's like you lose something so early, and you're like, naturally tending to move faster. So
yeah.
But
Dude, what would you say, or I guess, how would you say your relationship with Christ has, I think, just been transforming over the last couple of years since the head injury? Like, since you got hurt and you realized, oh wow, I need Jesus, and this is legit. Then, like, how have you seen him show up since then?
I mean, well, prior to that head injury, after I lost my dad, I was like super a little just like angry at God, and super like confused. I was very confused. I was like, why? Like, it's a common question, like, why would like God let
this happen?
And like, I didn't understand that at the time, and later, of course, I realized, I mean, there's evil in this world. There's evil things, and cancer is evil, and I very much believe that's from the enemy. And at the time, I was so young, I was like, why is this happening to me? But after that head injury, about a year and a half later, after my dad, I was struggling a ton, and I was like really, really caught up in just like I just didn't care. Like I really was just like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Life is just a joke now.
Hmm.
And yeah, after that I was like life is fragile, and I was like
Yeah.
I could very much pass away at any point because I was 30 seconds 30 minutes from it,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, all of this could have gone away because I made a dumb decision in school to make myself pass out.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, I should just at least try and search for a purpose or something in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess just as going on, I started to read the Bible a little more because my dad was very faithful.
Hmm.
He was very, especially faithful through his cancer, and that was all like brought up to me as I read the Bible and as I played guitar. I just remembered my dad being so faithful towards the end of his life and such a difficult time, like having terminal illness and being like, yeah, I'm going to keep praying and keep praising the Lord. I was like shocked by that. That was like my first introduction to like real faith.
Hmm.
And then I guess just kept on reading the Bible. Me and my buddy, we started reading the Bible. He was he still is one of my really good friends. Grew up playing baseball together, and the loss of my dad really affected him too,
Hmm.
in a lot of different ways because we were so close. But yeah, me and him started to read the Bible more, and I just, as I started reading, I was just like, dang, this is really life giving,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't inside of like any sort of like religion or church to me. It was just like I would read my Bible and find joy.
Right.
And like as it went on, I mean, I definitely have had my struggles, my doubts. Like I've had moments where I was like, dang, this is just like too difficult. I'm so confused. And also with like other like churches and like other religions, like seeing other people's opinions about the Lord and seeing how some other Christians can make God look so bad, and some other like people and their opinions, and it's just like it was all like very interesting to me,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to find my own personal faith
Mm-hmm.
with Jesus was like I like was trying to cling to that
Yeah.
and not let anyone else define what God is to me.
Mm-hmm.
But
Dude, that's so
Yeah.
encouraging because you're 17 and there's so many people who look up to you. You have such an influence with 40,000 on Instagram, and even within our own church. Like shouting out some of my boys. That's like you have such great influence, and so by you making the faith your own and living that out for yourself, like,
Yeah.
it's super encouraging for me. And
Yeah.
I'm older than you,
Well,
but
that
also it's you're leading by example, and that's awesome to see. And yeah, you have awesome influence.
Thank you, man. That's awesome to hear. I mean, the only reason I make music from the get-go was like, of course, because my dad did it.
Mm-hmm.
Like my dad wanted to be an artist. He was like inspiring. I feel like that is living through me, but also like the thought of being an artist that really loves the Lord and like really uses that as his like I don't know what the word is, but like that's his rock.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like make like designated Christian music. I don't make like a certain like music. To me is just something my emotions make and something my thoughts make and put together somehow, and I don't put it inside of a box. I think it's just art, and whatever God uses to convey that art and like put it into like words through me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like trying to let it happen the best I can. And of course there's been moments where it's been caught up, but I mean, I truly think that it's obvious there's like millions of people doing it, like
Mhm.
music.
Yeah.
And there's also like a huge portion that are doing it for themselves, and a huge portion that are just swallowed by pride, and I feel like that's something that I really want to like get rid of is like pride. I want to really be humble and try my best too.
Yeah.
And because every time I get caught up on writing a song, I'm like, dang, I really just don't know how to do this. I mean, there was like a point where I was like Googling how to write a song, like halfway through, like just dropping my EP. I was like, literally, like, how do I write music? It's such a weird like thing.
Yeah, well, when you approach something with humility, it's surprising how much further you can get, and it's something that I think God works through when you're humble.
Right.
And it's pretty amazing when you do that.
Because the truth is, like, we all won't be here one day.
True.
And I can play the biggest show ever. I can play a stadium of like 100,000 people, and like the next week I could just die, and then it would be like, I remember that night, it was awesome, like it was sick, but in heaven I'm gonna be surrounded by like billions of angels, and it's not gonna be about me, it's gonna be about Jesus. And I think that like I love music, and it's the greatest thing that I like. It's my passion. It's what I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, in my last moments, I mean, I'll be praying. Hopefully, be able to pray instead of like playing guitar or something or writing song. Like that's what I would rather be doing.
Dude, one thing that I love that you said was just the passion of it all, and that you said that you have passion for music, and I think that in my life, I have pursued certain things because I wanted things for myself, kind of like we were talking about with like humility. It's like I wasn't being humble. I was like, I want to do this opportunity because it'll make me a lot of money, or it'll give me a good opportunity. People will look at me different. People respect me. All these things of like me. Mm-hmm. And it was never fulfilling. But one thing that's always stood out that God has kept kind of bringing to my attention and saying, Garth, I need you to do this, is this show. It's for all of you guys. And so...
You guys.
And so one thing that I have a passion for is bringing life and bringing the name of Jesus and what he's taught me to other people.
Right.
And to bring people like you onto the show to teach other people and to just share our life experience with Jesus and what it looks like to be rooted in him when we're doing music, a podcast. And so what would you say would be like the difference, like in your life, what the difference between just wanting to pursue something versus knowing that like I'm made for this, like having a passion for it?
Well, I think just as much as like with the influence of my dad and it all coming together, it's like I did have a feeling that this is like, okay, when I first started doing it and like when I first played live, like the first time I like did make money on playing a show, I was like, oh, this is sick. But like from the get-go, like playing guitar or anything, like I never really felt like I was like doing anything right until I like really started digging into my music and like writing. And it was also natural. And there's been times where I've been doing it for myself, like music.
100%.
And it feels so wrong. And I literally just get like, I crash into a wall every single time I try and do it for myself. Like I can't write. I can't like think. Like I literally become like nothing whenever I try to do it for myself, or whenever I make it about like all about me. Like it's crazy how fast I can put myself into a corner. But whenever I just do it because I love it, like even like I totally think that's a God-given thing. Like when you do something when you lean into something that you do like love to do, I totally think that's like it becomes natural. But I think like for anyone that like really doesn't know what they're gonna do or like what their passion is, I just think like any of this that I have found like comes through prayer and stuff, and just like believing that you have a purpose to begin with, and believing that there's something that you're supposed to do, and there's like a huge calling, like a high calling, whether it's like literally talking to people one-on-one or like actually reaching a lot of people at once.
Yeah. Bro, I can confidently say that the times that God has reminded me of who I am and who he has created me to be has been through other people.
Yeah.
Because whenever I get in my own head, that's when it can really spiral out of control with the lies and what I choose to believe. But it seems to be whenever my parents, really close friends, mentors, whoever it is,
Yeah.
whenever they come up to me and they just speak life over me, it's honestly, it connects so many dots in my life where there are times where I'm like, I know this is God. And
Yeah.
I'll give a cool little story, a little example. 2 weeks ago, I was working in Highbrow, my old job,
Yeah.
and this lady comes in, and this was 2 days. No, I think this was actually the day after I got my new job at K-Love. For those of you who are listening, I'm working at K-Love now.
K-Love employee.
And I was serving coffee, and this girl comes up, and I knew her from the shop before. She's come in multiple times.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what she was going to order. And I struck up a conversation with her, and I was like, so what do you do? And she's like, I actually do podcast stuff for K-Love.
No way.
I was like, that's crazy, because I just got a job with K-Love. And she's like, that's amazing. And I got to share that with her, and that was super encouraging. And so I was like, thanks, God. Like, that's really encouraging. But then another girl came in, and we were talking, and as I was making her coffee, she literally goes, I don't know if anyone's told you this before, but you have a really good podcast voice. And she was like, if you haven't started a podcast yet, you should definitely do that. And this was, I kid you not, this was the day after I got a job at K-Love, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's the #1 Christian radio station out there.
Sheesh.
And this was also a time where I was really shifting from my business that I started, my marketing business.
Yeah.
And that was that whole me topic I was talking to you about, which is like, that was just for me, and it wasn't for anybody else really. It was mainly just for me to make ends meet. But so that was a season where I was debating, like, do I need to make the podcast a higher priority than this?
Yeah.
And that happened that same day, of this girl just like, listen,
Goodness.
like, you have a good podcast voice. And it was just, it just felt like God was just speaking through these people, just literally hitting every single point of just like, shoot, this is what I'm supposed to do. And this is what God wants me to do. I haven't made a dime from the show, but it's my passion. And I love doing this because I love having conversations. Hospitality is one of my favorite things. That's why I love having people over on the show. It's because I get to be hospitable. I get to welcome you into the show. And just, dude, I love everything about this show. And so I think that has been the difference for me, is like choosing something that I want versus choosing something that God obviously has for me.
Exactly.
And there's a fire behind that when you know that God has it for you.
And like sometimes it feels like I'm over still at my warehouse job. I pack boxes every morning, and I'm like, I'm not a bajillionaire off of music. I mean, Spotify, you guys pay 0.3 cents a stream. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. But I think I really like what you said. Like, you've not made a dime off of this. It's just like, goes to show like nothing like pays more than pursuing your passion. I feel like nothing, like I could be folding boxes for the rest of my life, but in the afternoon, if I play shows in the afternoon or something, like
it's all worth it.
In like a bar, like coffee shop, I mean, like it's fun. I love doing it. It's like, it's like, of course I would rather, be playing like big show. I have big dreams, huge dreams. And I think that they will come to fruition. Is that the word?
Fruition, yeah.
Fruition.
Yeah.
If I keep that mindset of being like, okay, I'm fine with it not being like the utmost best, but I'm going to shoot for it. I'm going to dream for it. But if it like doesn't happen, I mean, it's not even, like I was saying earlier, like heaven.
Right. At the end of the day, what's the most important thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's,
the goal
that's
too.
Contentment.
Yeah. The goal too is like not wrapping up this like whole huge like deal or crowd. Like I feel like it is like in any way God wants me to use his like gospel to anyone, I believe that he's going to trust, like I believe that he's going to do that. Like I trust he's going to do that. And even if that's not music, like even if it's like this right now, I'm not playing guitar, I'm not singing, I'm just like talking. And I feel like that's like just as big.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like some songs I have written are just like dumb. Like they're and they're funny.
I've said some pretty dumb things on this show.
Yeah, I mean like some songs that I will write and that I have written are like just songs that I love and songs that I write and songs that hopefully I can play in front of a lot of people and then be able to tell them what I'm telling you right now. Like Jesus has been the father I haven't had. Jesus has changed my life dramatically, and yes, there's tons of like problems with like religion and like there's many confusing things, and I feel like I want the world to know that there's a God that actually like personally like thinks about you and created you for an actual purpose and saw you from the beginning before he made earth like a piece of art.
Yep.
And like the moment that I had someone tell me that I was seeing like a piece of art before he made like earth, like the beautiful big earth, I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want everyone to know that because it's so foggy now. Everyone's telling everyone else like all these different things. And I mean like there's only one truth and I don't have it all figured out. I'm not a perfect Christian. I have problems, man.
Dude, all of us do.
But like that's the gospel is like God still loves me with my problems.
Right. And the thing is if we're perfect, then Jesus wouldn't have had to come and die for us. It's like, no, our imperfections point to the perfect one, which is Jesus, and that's the most important thing.
He died
it's
for
not
the
about us.
imperfect Jack.
That's right. And the imperfect Garth. That's
yeah.
right. Yeah. It's not about us being perfect. It's about us pointing to Jesus. And that's what we need to be doing all the time. And it's not about look at me, look how good of a Christian I am.
Right.
Because, when Jesus came, he didn't yell at the sinners. He yelled at the Pharisees.
Yeah, he did.
Because the Pharisees thought they were perfect and they looked down on everyone else when Jesus was like, you guys are actually as sinful as these other people.
Again,
and it's not about that. It's not about the rule following. It's about pursuing Jesus, and then honoring Jesus comes from the love of him. Right. And it's not about trying to put on some facade of trying to look all that and trying to seem like you're perfect. Because I have my struggles. I have my problems. Yeah. And there are things that I'm not open about, completely 100% open about, because there's a certain level of like honesty and then being too honest. Because like there's definitely like things that I will share with my close-knit group of friends who I'm like, guys, I need help. And like, let's talk about this. Let's pray over this. And then there are things on the show where I'm just like, like I'm struggling with this. And, so it's like.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if anyone's listening, find your group because, I believe that sharing your deepest, darkest secrets with a big group of people can be a big mistake because that's not always going to lead to true healing. But what I've found is like when you're alone with God and then when you're with one or two people who's just like you're speaking life into you when you're in your darkest moment. Yeah, dude, there's so much healing. Yeah, and it's super encouraging because that's what allows me to come and do this. Right, for sure. It's what allows me to sit here and be like, I'm not perfect. I don't have it all figured out. I struggle, but Jesus is so good and he's so perfect. And it's only because of him that I have a chance of
got to be humble enough
being in heaven and living for him. So.
Humble enough to know you need a savior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bro. Yeah. If I had to be perfect to do a Christian podcast or if you had to be perfect to write music, we would never do it.
Not a song written.
No. Not a song written, bro.
Not a single song.
Not a single episode published. And just because it's not about us, it's about him. And you just got to keep pointing to him. Yeah. Dude, we've been just going off, cooking. Man. I don't even remember what we're supposed to be talking about. Man, I mean, one thing that we wanted to hit on was the music industry. Yes. And being a light in the midst of a crowd of darkness. Yeah. And I just want to hear your thoughts on that of like how do you think going into that like how do you think that's going to be going into that of like an industry that's so demonic and so dark.
Yeah.
As a Christian man, as a 17-year-old Christian
Yeah.
that's kind of going into
Just
that.
a kid.
Like, dude, just a kid.
Yeah.
I'm just a boy.
Yeah, well, before I started, what was crazy was like this was like, I mean, when I was first becoming a Christian, I mean, God had revealed to me like kind of just the darkness of pursuing anything worldly, like the darkness of like, let's say, like fame or a ton of money or power. I feel like that was shown to me before I even like thought of writing music. So I could play like maybe the G and D chord.
Let's go.
Like
That's about my skill.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy how God showed me like the darkness, and it was like kind of like a hopeless thing. I was like, wow, this world is kind of screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, okay. And then I just moved on. And now going into that knowledge, or going into this with that knowledge, like not just the music industry, but just like the chase of power as a whole, like the chase of fame, the chase of money.
Mm-hmm.
And like it really is dark. I mean, it's really, it goes further than just like the bad record deal or the I don't like, I only know so much about like the deals and the business. Like it's just, you can kind of see if you look at it like close enough, you can really see that it's all a chase and it's all kind of very fleeting.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Ecclesiastes, like chasing wind.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it's all hevel. It's just smoke.
Yeah, and it becomes a little more obvious. And I bet it will become more obvious to me as I go on and as I pursue this. And if God allows me to get bigger than I am, which I hope and trust that he will, I just, like, before I started this and when I put out my first song, I remember praying that night. I said, God, prepare me for any amount of, like, fame or any amount of success that you want from me. I was like, please prepare me for anything that you bring me.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's been a very important prayer of like, please prepare me for success, because humans, like, I don't know, it's like when we get this power, it can just destroy us.
Yep.
And again, there's just been times where I've been like, oh, I'm all that.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote some great songs, and at the end of the day, like, I'll look back, I'm like, sometimes I'll be like negative. I'll be like, oh, I don't like my songs, or oh, it's just like, I feel like the devil has a total ambush planned out for your life. And even when you finally start stepping into things that you are supposed to, it's like, it can be negative, or it can be like overly, like completely like boastful.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two sides of like that darkness.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, but when you're doing it for the right reasons, and when Jesus is backing it up,
yeah,
it's so much better.
Yeah.
And
your success rate becomes when
right.
Jesus is
so many
you know?
many of us, dude, that we want the success before being prepared for it. And I think that God says this very clearly, is that, you know, we're chasing so many things, but rather seek first his kingdom, and everything will be added to you. Like, stop worrying about what tomorrow will bring. Stop worrying about if you're going to have enough money, or if you're going to become successful, or if you're even going to be able to get through a certain hard season of life. Like, stop worrying about tomorrow. Rather just worry about what you're going on today. Don't worry about tomorrow, and then seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added to you. And God's going to build you up, right? Like, you see these giant skyscrapers, and you see these things, but you don't see the foundation that was laid so that these things can stand, especially when storms come. I mean, you know, we live in Nashville. We get some pretty crazy storms here. And Nashville gets hit more than anything. And so, but when you look at those buildings, it's like there is tons and tons of cement that was just buried underground, so that way the foundation holds this tower. And so
Right.
I think that you see that a lot with successful Christians. It's like you look at Christians that have a lot of wealth and a lot of power, and they're somehow not crumbling underneath it. And it's because, it's because that was never the goal. The goal was always to pursue Christ and to honor him with everything and always put Jesus first.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, no matter how much God is going to bless you with, it's like the weight of it is not going to be as crazy because that was never the goal.
Yeah.
And even if you lose all the fame and all the success, like you said, at the end of the day, it's just Jesus. And he gets all the glory. And so even if you lose it all, you're not like your life's not going to crumble apart because that was never the goal.
Right.
It's always the goal's always been Jesus, and it's the end goal's always been Jesus. And so I think that's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to remind myself of that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was saying earlier, like when you aren't doing like without that mindset, it becomes so obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll be like sitting there just so stuck, and I mean there was like a little turning point in my life recently where I had really seen that clearly, like the foundation and like how easy it can crumble without Jesus.
Yeah.
So hopefully, if I do reach some sort of level that's like berserk, like crazy, I know that like the Lord will prepare me for that because that's what I'm asking for. Like
Sure.
I'm doing my best to consistently pray that God would just prepare me for that. And even when I first had my moment, like after So Long St. Augustine, the first song, after that went kind of crazy, I was like, it wasn't necessarily like I wasn't ready for it in the way that I was too prideful or I was too like spiritually unprepared. Like musically I wasn't prepared, and like a little bit spiritually I was just like letting a bunch of negative things get to me, like the whole thing where I won't be able to write anything good that will up this or keep it going. And even when I saw the numbers go down a little bit since then, it really wrecked me. Like I put my hope in
The
numbers. I put in hope in numbers that first of all don't have much money behind them, and also just like put me in a spot where I felt pressured to keep them up, and it destroyed me when I saw them go down a little bit.
Right.
So I mean, God definitely, I feel like, needed to show me that, and was like, "Where are you putting your hope?" And he was like, "This can be taken away just as fast as it was given to you."
Right.
Because I mean, it went up and then it went down 3 times as fast.
Yep.
Like the monthly listeners just went.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I mean, like, it's not supposed to be consistently like booming.
Right.
I feel like if life was consistently like good, we wouldn't realize that we need like the Lord or anything, like that we need some sort of like strength, or like there wouldn't be anything to show through weaknesses. I feel like.
Right. And when everything crumbles, it's like I'm still rooted because I know that Jesus has got it, and I trust him.
Yeah.
Right. And I trust that he's a good father, and that he's doing everything for his glory and for my good. And that's he's an awesome father. Oh, I can't believe I let the timer go off. That's crazy. Well, Jack, with that's our time, man.
Oh,
dude,
dang!
I really appreciate you coming on the show.
That felt like this.
Yeah,
that was awesome,
dude. I'm so glad that you came on the show, and I'm so glad that we made this happen. I'm so tired today. I'm so sorry for my lack of energy, but
I am too. I've been feeling so like loopy today.
Yeah, dude. I've been like, my mind's just been all over the place. But thank you for everyone tuning into this episode with Jack. This will not be the last time that we have Jack on the show.
Oh, for sure.
It's gonna be a good time.
Hopefully everything triples and we're coming back just like crazy.
Dude, I might be having a new spot, a new location for the podcast. That's gonna be insane. So
I'm ready for that.
Maybe in the works. We'll see. We'll see. God
Stay
willing.
tuned.
So, but thank you again, Jack, for coming on. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this week of the Center Podcast. Leave a comment and a like or subscribe, whatever you'd like to do. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for listening again. And I can't wait to hear your thoughts on how everything went. And yeah, just let me know how else I can serve you and what kind of content you guys want to see. But in the meantime, Jack, you're the man.
It's been real. Thank you.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.
Let's go.
Sheesh.
Oh.